Welcome to Radquarters. Today we'll be talking about ultrasound of tennis leg. I'm Dr. Dan Koval, and this episode is sponsored by Samsung Ultrasound. The beautiful images you're about to see were obtained on a Samsung RS85 Prestige ultrasound unit. We're going to review a few cases highlighting the various causes of tennis leg, and I'll reveal key teaching points throughout. So tennis leg is a general term referring to injury to muscles of the calf. Most commonly, it's due to a tear of the myotendinous junction of the medial head of the gastrocnemius muscle, and much less commonly, it can be caused by rupture of the plantaris tendon. And this can occur in isolation or together. Classically, it's described in tennis players, hence the name tennis leg, but it can occur in various athletic activities, including running and skiing. It's thought to occur with extension of the knee and forced dorsiflexion of the ankle. And it's typically seen in middle-aged active individuals. Clinically, these patients will present with a sudden sharp calf pain with associated popping or snapping sensation, followed by tenderness and swelling. So let's look at that anatomy on ultrasound. So here's a long axis view of the lower calf. We're looking at the medial aspect of the calf. And here we have the subcutaneous fat. Deep to that we have the medial gastrocnemius muscle. And notice how the medial gastrocnemius muscle comes to a fine sharp point here as it drapes over the soleus muscle, which is this underlying muscle. So this is normal, and this is where the injuries often occur. And notice this thin echogenic line here. This is the superficial aponeurosis, but then we also have a deeper aponeurosis interposed between the medial gastrocnemius and soleus muscles. And that's actually divided into two areas. This thin echogenic line adjacent to the medial gastrocnemius is known as the anterior gastrocnemius aponeurosis, whereas this is the soleus aponeurosis. And then as we go more distally, there's a section of the gastrocnemius aponeurosis that is free, meaning it's not associated with a muscle, and then that will fuse with the soleus aponeurosis to form the beginning of the Achilles tendon, which will continue down towards the ankle. So a few other anatomic comments. The gastrocnemius and soleus muscles are known as pennate muscles, meaning that the fascicles of the muscles attach obliquely to a tendon, and that gives an aponeurosis with a long length of musculotendinous junction. So that's different than other muscles like fusiform muscles such as the biceps brachii, which will have a simple short musculotendinous junction. So you can think of this configuration as feathers converging onto a single point. And the term triceps surae muscle is sometimes used to include the two-headed gastrocnemius muscle, the soleus, and the plantaris muscle. As I alluded to on the previous slide, the distal continuation of the gastrocnemius and soleus will form the Achilles tendon. All right, so let's look at a case. So this was a patient in his 30s who suddenly ran across the street and felt a popping sensation in his calf. So here we're looking at that same long axis view of the distal medial calf. Here's the subcutaneous fat. And what do you notice about the medial gastrocnemius muscle? Well, it's very echogenic. It's very bright. And that's something we can see in the setting of either edema or fatty infiltration of the muscle. In a patient this age in the acute setting, it's usually due to edema from injury. Now, if we focus in on that medial distal gastrocnemius where it overlies the soleus muscle, what do you see? Well, instead of that triangular sharp point, we see this rounded edge, and there's a bit of hypoechoic fluid there. As we focus in on that, you can see it's a small amount of this anechoic to hypoechoic curvilinear fluid with blunting of that normal sharp edge of the muscle fibers of the medial gastrocnemius, indicating that there's muscular retraction. And this fluid or hematoma is partially tracking between the medial gastrocnemius and the soleus muscle. As we track a bit more distally, you can see that there's also a bit of fluid or hematoma tracking along that free gastrocnemius aponeurosis more distally. A great way to evaluate the calf or the Achilles tendon is to also do panoramic imaging, which gives a broad view of the anatomy. Here's that echogenic edematous medial gastrocnemius muscle with retracted muscle fibers and the underlying soleus, and we see that small hematoma there tracking both proximally and distally. So this is a typical medial gastrocnemius tear. And the distal medial head of the gastrocnemius, where it tapers over the soleus, is one of the most commonly injured calf structures. And what we'll see when this is injured is disruption of tendon fibers at the aponeurosis with this anechoic to hypoechoic fluid or hemorrhage, sometimes with this muscle retraction of the muscle fascicles. All right, here's another case. This is a male patient in his 60s who after a fall felt a sudden pop in the back of his right calf. So here we're looking at a long axis panoramic view of the calf. There's the subcutaneous fat. Here we have the medial gastrocnemius muscle, the soleus a bit more deep. And then we see a large volume of fairly anechoic fluid or hemorrhage interposed between the medial gastrocnemius and soleus, also with disruption of these muscle fibers. Here's another view showing that disruption of the medial gastrocnemius muscle fibers. We also have disruption of the soleus muscle fibers in that region, with some discontinuity at the distal aponeuroses. And when we cone in on those areas, we again see that large volume of fluid. We see the medial gastrocnemius is echogenic, indicating edema. There's also some edema in the subcutaneous fat, and these disrupted muscle fibers, both of the medial gastrocnemius and adjacent soleus, and also some mild hyperemia about that region on microvascular flow imaging. Let's look at this on real-time imaging, again showing that heterogeneously hypoechoic hematoma there at the site of muscle and myoaponeurotic disruption with subcutaneous edema and edema within the adjacent muscle. And this is just another example of a distal medial gastrocnemius tear, also with some soleus involvement. Again, we can see retracted muscle fascicles at the site of the tear, and the size of a hematoma dissecting between and extending into the medial gastrocnemius and soleus muscles can vary. In general, the treatment for medial gastrocnemius tear is conservative, as these tend to be self-limiting, but rarely surgical fasciotomy may be indicated if the swelling becomes severe enough that it causes compartment syndrome. Okay, let's look at another cause of tennis leg. This is a different patient with a normal medial gastrocnemius muscle here coming to a fine triangular sharp point, which is normal, the underlying soleus muscle. We do have a little subcutaneous edema, but other than that, this is a normal lower medial calf. And then notice how there's this trilaminar appearing structure, these three echogenic lines here, interposed between the medial gastrocnemius and soleus, and that's more than just the two aponeuroses. There's also this thin echogenic line between them, and that represents the plantaris tendon. So the plantaris muscle arises from the posterior-superior aspect of the lateral femoral condyle, near the region of the lateral head origin of the gastrocnemius muscle. Then the muscle belly medially crosses the posterior knee joint in oblique fashion. And that's pretty much it for the muscle belly. It then continues into the calf as a long, thin tendon traveling between the medial head of the gastrocnemius and the soleus muscles. So here's a different patient showing the medial gastrocnemius muscle, the soleus muscle, and then this thin plantaris tendon there between the arrows. If we turn transverse on that, now we're looking at it in short axis. We have the medial gastrocnemius and the soleus muscles. It can be difficult to find, but you can see there is that thin tendon there of the plantaris. It will then course distally at the medial aspect of the Achilles tendon, where it will usually insert onto the calcaneus. The plantaris is actually absent in up to 20% of individuals, which shows that it's of questionable utility. All right, let's look at a case here. This was a teenage patient presenting with medial calf pain. We're looking at the medial right calf distally. We can see a normal medial gastrocnemius muscle coming down to that nice sharp triangular point there at the aponeurosis. The underlying soleus muscle is normal. But when we move slightly more medial to this region, we can see this mildly thickened hypoechoic plantaris tendon. When we turn transverse on it, we can see it in this region here, again between the medial gastrocnemius and soleus muscles. And with subtle cases like this, it's very helpful to do comparison scanning of the contralateral leg. So here we're looking at the left calf, and we can see a much thinner appearing normal plantaris tendon, and this leg was asymptomatic. So this is a case of mild plantaris tendinosis. So plantaris injury is less common than medial head of gastrocnemius tear, and typically occurs more proximally in the calf at that myotendinous junction. Remember, the muscle belly is at the level of the knee. Fluid between the medial gastrocnemius and soleus muscles could indicate a torn plantaris tendon, but if the torn tendon is not visualized, it's more likely just due to a medial gastrocnemius muscle tear or even a popliteal cyst rupture with fluid tracking between the muscle planes. All right, thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you found this educational. Thank you to our sponsor, Samsung Ultrasound. If you like this lecture, a great way to support us is to subscribe to the video podcast on Apple or Spotify, or by clicking the YouTube subscribe button. Reviews are always greatly appreciated. To see bonus teaching material posted throughout the week, follow us on social media. Links are in the show notes, or click the YouTube community tab. Until next time, radiology is life.